everyone, so here is a quick tutorial on how you'll be able to make your gartered fringes, which you'll be wearing over your knee-high socks. So with your iridescent vinyl, you just have to measure 4.25 inches, and that's gonna be the width of each of your fringe. So you just measure using a ruler and then use an X-Acto knife or a blade to cut through the vinyl. You can also opt to use a marker first and just use scissors to cut it. The vinyl is quite thick, so with a blade you might have to run through it several times. So just cut through your whole length of the vinyl, and I think with the half meter of 50 cm by 95 cm, you'll be able to make around 5 rows of fringes. So there, you now have a strip of vinyl which measures 4.25 inches. So once you cut up your vinyl, just measure 1/2 inch from the top and mark it with a marker. It's easier to measure if you have a cutting mat, since the vinyl is quite opaque. You can see through it and just follow the line of your cutting mat. So here, what I'm doing next is that I'm making marks on the clear cover that covers the vinyl with an X-Acto knife measuring 0.13. That's gonna be the thickness of each of the fringe. But if you don't have a cutting mat, you can just measure 0.25 inches first and then split the 0.25 into 2 sections to make the 0.13. Another option is for you to use a marker if you don't want to use an X-Acto knife, and just mark the different sections so you'll know where to cut. Once you're done marking the whole strip of vinyl, you can start cutting it now. So with the use of a sharp scissors, or you can also use a cutting blade or an X-Acto knife, and just follow the marks or the lines that you have made on your vinyl. Make sure to stop cutting at the 1/2 inch mark that you have made on top. So there, you now have your fringe. And this is how it's gonna look like once you've cut the whole length of your vinyl. The vinyl has a clear plastic cover on both sides, which you can remove once you're done, and this will remove all the markings that you have made. So there's a clear cover on one side, and then on the blue side, there's also a clear cover on it. So you can peel that off once you're done cutting. So now it's time for you to mark your socks. Get your ruler and measure 2 inches from the top of your knee-high socks. 2 inches, 2 inches, 2, 2, 2. So get a pencil and start marking. 2 inches, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you'll have a total of 6 sections per sock. Now get your garter and it's time to fit it with your lower leg. Put on your socks and start measuring where you have marked your socks with a pencil. Wrap the garter around your lower leg and then stretch it around 2 inches or just tight enough for it not to fall off or fall down when you're dancing or walking. And then get a pencil and mark. Mark where you'll be cutting and on the other side where the end of the garter falls. So get your scissors and then cut. So there. Now you have this garter wherein you'll just make sure the ends fall on the pencil marks that you have made. There. So the ends will fall on the pencil marks. There. And then this is where you'll stitch. You can use a thread and needle, or if you have a sewing machine, you can just run it through. You can just use a running stitch to stitch it. You just have to go back and forth. So you just have to repeat the process for all the markings or all the sections that you have made or marked on your sock. That's a total of 7 garters, including the topmost of your sock. Okay? So now it's time for us to attach the fringe, the vinyl, to the garter. I've marked each garter with numbers, so I'll know which part of my lower leg it belongs to. So I run my garter through my sewing machine in a way that I just had to make sure that it's secured well, even if it's pulled. And this is number 2, which belongs to the second part from the bottom of my sock. You can also opt to measure your garter again, put it on just to make sure it's the correct size. So 1 will belong to the first marking, and then 2 on the second marking. I just have to make another one for the lowest one, which can be my 0. So with this number 2 garter, I now get my fringe. And if you still have the clear cover on both sides, you can take it off now. And we'll be using the colorful side of the vinyl, not the blue side. Just line it up with your garter. So just get your stapler and then staple. That's it. I put the pointy side of the staple wire outside so that you don't snag your socks when you put it on. So there, it's that easy. So just staple one end of the fringe and you have to put on the garter again. So it's better to keep your sock on. Put on the garter. Make sure that you put it on the right mark. So it's best to mark them or label them. And then wrap the fringe around your leg. This is where the Velcro dot goes. That's gonna be the one that will seal your fringe, and then just cut off the excess. The excess can be used for the other garters. If this is where your first staple wire is, identify the opposite side of the garter because that is where your second staple wire will go. Just hold on to it, remove the garter. So there, that's the opposite side of the first staple wire. This is where the second staple wire will go. Get your stapler and then staple. Now you have your first fringe. Check this out. You can't really put on staple wires on this part because the garter needs to stretch, or else it won't go through your heel part. So this is where the Velcro dots will go to seal your fringe or to close up your fringe. There. Then you just have to repeat the whole process for all the different sections of your leg. Okay? Then here's an option if you're bothered with the sharp staple wires. Just get Scotch tape and then cover it up. This will ensure that it doesn't snag your stockings or your sock when you put it on. There. You'll also notice that the garter is shorter than your fringe. That gives the garter enough room to stretch because the vinyl is not stretchable. So it is important that you measure the garter on your lower leg properly. See the gaps? Then for the rhinestones, let's take this for example as the top fringe for the top of your knee-high sock. You just have to line it up on the top of the vinyl and just glue it down using drops of Mighty Bond. That should keep it in place. Make sure you start from one end of the vinyl going all the way to the other end. There, that completes all your fringes. Good luck and have fun!